Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Big Bill here from Model Railroading Live, the model railroading show in the world. It's September 30th, 2020. And can you believe it? September 30th already, man. We're heading into October. Yeah, yeah, we are getting there. We are getting there. So we're in October. We have who's Big Bill talking to tonight? We have a special guest with us. He's all the way from Minnesota. So get to our good friend there from Minnesota and get a chance to sit and talk to him and everything. I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. I got it. Cross Anchors Railroad is here. Minnesota E&E. Wait a minute. You said hello. You're here. Okay. All right. Brian, Mike, Cross Anchors Railroad. Yeah, just let me do some homework here. Here we are at Model Railroading Live. Welcome aboard, pun intended. Just want to tell you what's going on here at Model Railroading Live. We will be continuing this October 3rd. October 3rd, this Saturday, we'll be continue with Model Railroading Live, the small layout with big opportunities. That's with John Farrington and Thomas Klamansky. He'll be on, and it's going to be it's going to be part 2, but it's going to be part 2.1 because there was so much that we wanted to do last time, that Tom and John wanted to do last time, that we couldn't cover it all. So this Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to do 2.1 of the small layout, big opportunity. So set your clocks, do the sundial thing, whatever it is that you need to do to get ready for that show, because it's been pretty interesting. They've been doing an introduction into building a small layout, time, space, money, skill level, maintenance, the whole thing. And it's been a pretty interesting series so far. So this will be the 2.1. And then on next October 7th, we're going to have the Cross Anchor Railroad guys on. And these guys do the Cross Anchors Railroad. These guys do the big boys. They do the big O-scale stuff. We haven't had enough of those guys. Oh, look at this. Can't take me anywhere. Can't take me anywhere. See, this happens when I try the new stuff, Eric.
I love it.
You know, we got a real pea soup operation going on here.
No, we got a lot in common.
Yeah. Anyway, October 7th, we're going to have Mike and Brian, or Brian and Mike from the Cross Anchors Railroad. Those guys have the big layout, the big trains, the big boys as we call them, and they have a fantastic layout. Utterly a fantastic layout, and they're two very entertaining gentlemen who are very much into railroading and model railroading, and I think you'll enjoy their show. And then on the 8th of October, we go right back to Johnny's Train Talk show, where you, the community, can come in just like Eric and I have right here, and you can be a part of it. You can brag and do stuff like that, and you can be a part of the show. It's Johnny's Train Talk Show, 9 p.m. Thursday the 8th. Mosey on down to Johnny's general store there, pull up a chair, pull a soda pop out of the freezer, and sit down and talk trains with John and all the rest of the guys that settle around the table to talk model railroading. So back to my guest tonight. Tonight we welcome Erik Norwall of the Minnesota E&E Railroad. Erik, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Now, before the rest of you guys are out there, you'll see that Erik has an N-scale layout behind him, and it's running something him and his son built. The E&E is, well, why don't you explain it, Erik? So this, I don't want to steal the thunder from you.
Well, disclaimer, we're beginners, and I say that in all our videos if you check out our YouTube channel. But my son and I got going with at the beginning of the pandemic and being isolated in our homes. And for us, it was just fine. My train fancy came back, and I thought, hey, let's show my son some train stuff. And we started building this small layout, 4x6-ish. And we tried to use just the stuff that we had in the house because we weren't going to make it to, the big box stores at that time.
Right.
And E&E, my name's Erik, and my son's name is Elin. So it could be Elin and Erik Railroad or Erik and Elin Railroad, whatever way you want to look at it.
Right, depending on who's in charge that day.
Right. Yeah.
And how old is Elin?
He's 2. He's 2 right now.
2.
Yeah, he's a May 4th baby. He's a Star Wars baby.
May the force be with you.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and you incorporate him into the working on the layout as well, because we've seen some. What's the name of your the channel, your YouTube channel, so people can?
Minnesota E&E Railroad.
Minnesota E&E Railroad. Okay, yeah. You guys go check him out. You guys will have a small heart attack because you'll see his son Elin playing with trains. Yeah,
here's a good example of what you might see. So yeah, be relaxed when you get there. But this is a bent axle. I don't know how many of you have bent an N-scale axle. I have no idea how he did that. But the beauty of that is I've been learning how to do more stuff, fix a ton of stuff. So I have lots of examples like that.
Right. So this is not unusual, but I think you're the third set. I think the third. Let me see. There was there was George and Wally, father and son O scale. There was Don and Don G, also HO scale. And I'm trying to think if we had any. And I think it's you and your son. That's three sets of father sons. And that's pretty encouraging because it ranges from many different ages. Your son is 2. George is 15, soon to be 16, I believe, and also Don is in his late 30s, early 40s. So his dad's up there in age as well, but still father and son and enjoying the hobby together. So now, on the basics of everything, did you grow up in a railroad house? I mean, did Dad say, "Hey, let's do model railroading," and you got the bug that way, or how did that come about for you?
Actually, that's an awesome question because it's really fun for me right now working on family history. So it was actually my mom's dad that worked for Northern Pacific, and he was there for the merger into Burlington Northern. He shoveled coal on steam engines around here. And so I feel like me personally, I was in a gap between my mom, and then now I'm kind of the other side of the gap with my son, Elin.
Right.
In between there, when I was a kid, my dad and I did do an HO scaled 4x8 sheet of plywood down in the basement. And, we got going. Neither of us knew what we were doing. And it lasted for a little while. And I remember we had a blue Conrail F series of some sort. But I've been picking away on the phone with my mom. Of course, excuse me, my dad, you'll see in the videos too, been picking away with him too, but he doesn't remember like my mom does. My mom is great with
she's a historian.
Yeah. Whether she makes up the history or it's true, it's passing on stories. So now it's back. It's back. People make fun of me all the time. They're like, Erik, you're doing this for yourself. And yes, you gosh darn right, I'm doing this for myself. This is fun. I love this stuff. But I think I've created a monster with Elin. I think Elin he might like it better than me. He just doesn't have all the words yet to express that. But he expresses how much he loves trains and going for car rides and watching real trains. We call it train spotting, rail fanning.
Right, exactly.
So it's really, it's extremely fun. And that's what we're doing. That's the number one thing that I'm enjoying is that piece with my little Elin and sharing that with them.
That's great.
It's what life's about right now for me.
Yeah. That is absolutely that really is a good thing. It really is, and it's memories that are being made now Even though he's two, it's there. It's imprinted into the brain, you know.
And with that, that's our main objective with the YouTube channel. It's turning into something where, you know, I'm trying as a beginner. I'm sharing my beginner experiences with, you know, people if they want to watch.
Right.
But originally, it was all documentation for hanging out with my son, and we're already rewatching videos over and over again. He loves watching, of course, himself. You know, and then he sees daddy and mommy in the, you know, the videos.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah, that's the number one reason. Was it started with just documentation, and then it kind of grew. And I took all of the train stuff and made a train channel instead of putting it on my kind of personal, you know, channel, more family stuff.
Yeah.
And then I found all you guys out there, and this community is extremely fun. Lots of nice people around here.
Yes, there are. BFU Railroad says Elon has words. You just don't know what he's saying yet.
Yeah, BFU. Love you, BFU, man. It's been good hanging out. We've been chatting a lot and commenting back and forth on videos, a little bit of music talk, you know, all that kind of stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah, he drives truck, and yeah, good to hear from you, BFU.
Well, welcome aboard, BFU Railroad. This is your first time here. Welcome aboard Model Railroading Live and Who's Big Bill talking to. Talking with Erik Norwall tonight of Minnesota E&E Railroad. Now, you got into the N scale, the whole concept of building this with your son and having that bonding time together and stuff like that. But then the kind of like the match hit the dry grass there and ignited that storm, that fire. And what was the second? This is what I find very interesting, and I think you guys will find it very interesting. What was the second thing that emerged? What burned out of the N scale?
Well, it's been a whirlwind, and you know, Bill and you and I have been talking about this, and I honestly don't know when that match hit the grass. I mean, it's only been a couple of months that we've been doing this, but I felt like I better not push the size on this guy. And the weather was really nice outside, so I stumbled across backyard railroading. You might call it garden railways or garden railroading, but did a little research on that, and we do 7.5-inch gauge backyard railroading now. I mean, we're creating it right now. We're not actually doing yet, but we're well on our way, and we're committed.
It's in its infancy. It's in its infancy.
Yeah.
I have a question from Mystic Southern Railway.
Another one of my good buddies, one of my early buddies on the, you know, doing this train stuff.
Where does Erik get his music? YouTube?
No, I do music. That's all me.
Oh, okay. So there's no copyright infringement.
No, I own all the music. I mean, I've used, so our channel isn't monetized. So I have the freedom to use music if I want to use music. But another big hobby of mine is music. So I dabble in multiple genres. In fact, I had a conversation today with the guy who we were emailing back and forth about the backyard railroading, and he had the best information, best constructive criticism ever. And one of them was, you know, what about that music? You want to get rid of that music, I think. And I'm like, actually, that's me. That's kind of a part of the package. I'm sorry, it's going to be there, and that's a part of you know, the chemistry with me and Elon more than anybody.
Yes.
But I did tell him though I am starting to balance better with the volume of music versus dialogue. In fact, now dialogue music is completely cut out.
Okay.
Like that.
All
But yeah, I dabble in punk rock, rock and roll, blues. I do that electronic stuff. You know, I just enjoy music too.
Music.
I do.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So now you got into the set. Now now I'm not a garden railroad, so talk to me like I come to your house and I see you doing this. Explain to me what 7.5-inch. What is that? What does that mean?
So 7.5-inch gauge is basically that 7.5-inch between the flanges on the trucks.
Okay.
The wheels. I got it sitting right here next to me. So yeah, you go with that 7.5-inch gauge, and then a lot of guys will, scale down the modeling with the cars and the engines and such. Usually, you see the 1.5-inch scale, and then you also see 1/8-inch scale. And then that kind of flex and varies depending on the modeler, right? If you're going really prototypical, or you don't want to beat yourself up too much like us and not go so prototypical, because that's an art form. That prototypical stuff, man. And all you guys out listening right now, when you get to, that's beautiful stuff, that prototypical stuff, and you're wondering if it's real or not, or if it's not real. That's to die for. Us, we're going a little. We're not going to go so prototypical. I have OCD, and it would drive me nuts. I would need to make it a full-time job, and I can't do that right now. So.
Yeah, we have to have that right semaphore signal, and you guys, we're holding a tutorial class on signaling, and if you don't take it, you can't come on my railroad. I know.
I'll give you a little.
Yeah, let's check this out. I'd love to see this. This. I remember I saw it on your video, and I was like super stoked.
Yeah. So what's happening here? First of all, this large-scale railroading, you might call it, takes time. There is stuff you can buy out there. There's a small industry, but here's an example of a truck. This is a Titan Trains truck. The last code here is black, so it's kind of hard to see. I'll put some light on here. And yeah, it's super fun stuff. But this one truck right here is rated at 800 pounds. So I got a car built. We just got the frame going right now, and I just have it on a stand for us for the show. But it's meant to be ridden on, and it's almost like you got your own real railroad in the backyard. So we talked about 7.5-inch gauge, and that's between the two flanges, basically, right on
the inside flanges, or the.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
So that would be the 7.5-inch gauge. If you guys are out there looking for, videos on this stuff, I got a piece of track right here too. This stuff's pretty cool. Got a 10-foot section of this stuff. This is great stuff. This is from Midwest Scale Rail, and it's got the exact same profile that you find out there in the real world. So
sure, you got the ball, you got the web, and then you got the base.
Yep.
Sure.
And, yeah. 141-pound rail is what this stuff is called, of course, being prototypical pretty much, and it's made out of aluminum. So for us, there's many ways of doing it. We're going with plastic ties, and then we have aluminum rails. So the idea is, we can work more on the garden than maintaining the railroad over time, because that's what my understanding is. You can build a railroad, but maintaining a railroad is a whole nother ball game.
Oh, and well, it's the same with indoor and Z, TT, HO, Lionel, it's all maintenance work, track work, and keeping it all up. How has that? Like doing the Garden Railroad, obviously. Again, coming from your background, and saying, okay, my dad and I did this, one-time deal when we were kids, and then I grew out of it. I became a teenager, and then so move on. Now, Elon and you were doing it. Now, so why garden railroading? Well, what was it that attracted you to it?
Man, getting on these things. I think you want to ride the dang things.
As simple as that, right?
Yeah, I think Elon and I spend a lot of time either down eye level with the trains.
Right.
It's either eye level with the trains and the scenery, or you got to ride on them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So how did this? You sat down, and of course you probably mapped out the New York to Chicago kind of deal. I want the biggest and the best. and then reality came in. And, yeah, money, cha-ching. And the wife stepped in and said, "Oh, what are we doing? Calm down."
Yeah,
Really?
well, you want to do what?
What? Right, exactly. So when you got through with the whole thing, what was the reality that you came up with for the backyard?
So we dreamt really big in the beginning, and then you start to learn. Actually, we were talking about math right before the show started. Just radius, right? You talk about that, and we all know about that. Even working on N scale, HO, etc. It's the same in the backyard. I got out lots of string, and I was doing. So in the real world, a 20-foot radius is actually really tight. And, you just like on the small railroads here, you deal with different issues.
Right.
So I did a lot of walking around, and my wife and I were lucky enough to buy this house just a year ago. It's our first house.
Okay.
We're older. We're in our 40s. So we got the house that we want to be in for a while. It's not so we have a little bit of room back here, which is, thank goodness, because that was before I had this knack for backyard railroading.
Right.
But, yeah, it just came all. I joined a Facebook group, Backyard Railroading. Those guys have been so nice and so helpful. And then I just did a lot of walking around. Some of the early videos on our channel are basically me asking questions and getting input from everybody. So we dreamt big, ended up scaling way down and thinking about phases, especially because there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of, you can buy certain things. And for example, like we bought the trucks, we bought the rail, we bought a couple of those things that I can't manufacture in my garage. And to also, stick with some of the guidelines that the clubs are using for, gauge and safety, all that good stuff. And so, yeah, just kept picking away at it. And finally, you just, that day comes and you start digging up the grass.
You say, okay, here's the moment.
And then you commit, man. And committing to something is, I don't know. It's a good life skill for me. I like to commit to something, see it through. But I always, you got to get ready in case I got to pull this whole thing out. I got one foot out the door just in case I get in too much trouble. But
nah, I watching your videos and watching how you attack this, and well, I shouldn't say attack. The word is approach. I think that you approach it in a way that is, if you transplant the 7.5-inch garden railroad to HO, let's just say HO. You still have the same. You're trying to put 50 pounds of railroad into a 10-pound bag. You know what I mean? So you kind of figure those things out. But I love the fact that that in your videos, like you're really trying. Like, I mean, you're really experimenting, and you're going at. You're just saying, "Hey, let's go for this." Like when you bent the rail, you had to put the radius in the rail. You came up with this jig. And the first one didn't work out, but then you said, instead of just throwing it all away and say, let me see, you went and stuck to it. I mean,
hats off to the community too, because
right.
The video you're talking about is an antique drill press on its side, and it has the weighted wheel that used to keep the momentum going.
Right.
And I had some old skateboard trucks on the other half. But hats off to the community because after that video, I received, hey, do it this way, or hey, this is what I've done, this works, try to do something similar to this. And that's ultimately what we ended up doing.
Right. And hats off to the community because listen, we talked about this the other day, Monday night, 25, 30 years ago, without the invention of YouTube and social platform, that all that would have been, you may have done it in trial and error, but with social media and YouTube, you put it out there, people like, hey, I'm doing that, or I did that. Let me tell this guy what's up with that. I got a tool that can do that. I'll tell him how to make it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you develop that bond and that friendship, and that's really what is so good about the community, whatever scale you're in. Mystic Southern Railway question. What is it like working with your dad and son on the railroad? Is it like is it like being on Pawn Stars? PAWN.
I got you. Yeah, I wasn't sure what you said right there with that. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? My dad is pretty mellow, and we got to give a shout out to him. He just had a pacemaker and a defibrillator combo put in on Monday, so we've been, you know, and that's another. It's another piece of, man. It's really fun with the channel that we're doing because I'm gonna, you know, when the day comes, you know, we're gonna have this piece with my dad, and
for all eternity.
So, you know, he's a carpenter by trade. He's the one that has more of the, you know, the hands-on, you know, true tradesman skills more than I do, and so he's the brains of a lot of the stuff that we're doing. I bounce everything off of him, and then the flip side is, you know, Elon he gets his hands dirty,
right?
And, he's just such a sweetheart. It's you can't go wrong, you know. So right now, the triad with all three of us is to die for. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and it involves some of the videos I've also seen. You've been family members are involved in it, and everybody. What is the consensus from family members about it? Is it?
When is it going to be done? For example, with the backyard railroad.
Yeah.
We're going to have, you know, Christmas themed railroad train rides. We'll have, you know, we won't have Halloween. I don't think we're going to be done by Halloween.
Right.
But everybody loves it, and it's kind of crazy too. In the real world, people you don't see this very often. The only little hurdle was in the beginning when, you know, my wife Jackie was just couldn't envision it. It just sounded too crazy. So wait a second, you got to sell me on this a little bit more. And but you know, she trusts me we have history together, so I've had other crazy things.
Yeah, sure.
So you know, she trusted me, and now she's a part of it. She likes doing her part, and at this point, you know, moving Earth around.
Yeah, absolutely. Human City Junction says, did you ever see the TV show Silver Spoons as a kid? They had a ride-on train on the show. It's why I want one also, he said.
I don't think I have. I didn't watch it, but I think we talked at one point. I think maybe you mentioned that in a comment. I remember vaguely talking about that show.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, now, when this, do you have an idea of what kind of equipment you want to? Are you going to do like steam, or are you going to do diesel or electric, or how's it going to work? What are you going to do?
Boy, so dreaming big in the beginning, obviously I was going to do steam, right? I mean, how cool is that? I mean, that
would be
I mean, that's for real. That stuff it's amazing, and I have yet to actually see it in person. But what you learn is,
I have.
Yeah.
Up in Amherst, Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts, at the Amherst show, they have the 7.5-inch steam engine guys there. And it's like, it's a piece of breathing, living machinery.
Oh,
so,
man. All that steel, all that, you know, cast, all that glass. Yeah. It's art. Once again, it's art. All this stuff is art, man. It's cool.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
So we, you know, dreaming big, you know, little, you know, 040 switcher of some sort, knowing that we're going to have tight radius and a small layout in the backyard. It's a little bit more flexible, obviously, with just the, you know, the four wheels going. But then you learn about, you know, what that takes. And so that's on the back burner, maybe towards my retirement when I get, you know, solid experience first.
Right.
And, start acquiring the proper tools to manage and build. And, you know, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then so we moved on to basically we're gonna start with electric.
Okay.
And a big piece of that is well, you can do gasoline. But I personally wanted to go electric. Just I don't know. I almost want to do an electric 24-volt system and then have a speaker and fake some of the sounds maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
We're going to work on that.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to end up electric, and also for safety with, having little Elin around. That'll be
Right.
a good one.
Right. BFU Railroad wants to know, who's watching the train in the background? What if it derails? That's what happens when you put good track. Elin put all that track down, guys.
Yeah.
All that track has been laid by Elin. That's how good it is. So if you guys need a track layer, that 2-year-old, that's what he did.
Oh man, I'm sure BFU has seen that derailment video that we got. We got a couple of
Yeah.
But that was that's usually, like Clarabelle and Annie that usually derail. But surprisingly, Elin plays with these guys all the time in his hands, and these guys have held up the best. But yeah, that Elin, I tell you, he knows how to lay track. He has really tight radius though.
Does he?
Oh gosh, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
In the Kato world, we're one radius away from their tightest turns.
Yeah.
It's kind of pathetic actually, but live and learn. Now we know. Even some of our, it's so tight that I had to cut the rail, so to speak, off the viaduct over here because when the 60-footer went through there, it just hit the side. So
right.
I got videos, our screw up videos. We got videos out there telling you what not to do.
That's the best. Those are the kind of guys you want to follow, because those are the ones that, hey, I want to learn from that guy. He made that mistake, so I don't have to make that mistake. That's the best.
I beat you guys to the mistakes. That's what we're going
for. Yeah. So have you, from the manufacturers, I mean, you've been in touch with manufacturers, and is there a wide assortment of manufacturers, or is there a small family of, like 3? I mean, because HO and model railroading, HO N-Scale, Lionel, O-Scale, they have a plethora of dealers out there. So when it comes to stuff like this, purchasing the trucks, are there a lot of people you can go to, or is there a limited amount?
There are a handful. And once again, I'm a beginner, so just name dropping right now. Some of the bigger ones, and I say big, not super big, but Titan Trains out of Virginia does a lot of work. There's Accutie with some of the rail systems, Midwest Scale Rail. But just to generalize, even some of these big guys, those guys have been around for a long time, and all these big guys know each other. They have 30 years of history together. So that's another surprising thing is, you get these guys 30, 40, maybe 50. I don't know. Maybe I'm pushing it there, but it's been around for a long time. You got 12-inch gauge. You got the good old, 7.5, 7.25 is big in, Europe on the East Coast by you guys. I believe there's a lot of 7.25.
Right.
But it's still pretty small time. So I can call up any of these guys, and we can have a half hour, 1 hour talk, and ask questions. And like we talked about earlier, lots of sharing of information. Sure, they want you to buy something, but there's never pressure. It's once you're hooked and you're on it, chances are you're going to purchase something. So the customer service is really, really good. The knowledge and experience out there, it's endless. Like, I'm inundated with people telling me, how to do stuff and what I should do. And it's great. I just can't take it all in.
All in, right? Exactly.
I got to make my mistakes, man. I'm going to make my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes.
I hear you. But that's good, because the company gives you, like, the guys you call up and you have these conversations. They give you $3,000 worth of information, so for free. So when you're ready to make that purchase, you know who you're going to, and you're going to spend your dollar and your coin there for them. So that's such a, that's worth more than anything. So, and I'm sure that, how about where you are in Minnesota what part of Minnesota do you live?
I'm in the Twin Cities. I'm a St. Paul kid. Right now
Okay.
we're in one of the northern suburbs called Roseville.
Okay, so do you have a lot of other garden railroaders in the area?
You know, I'm finding a couple, but a big one is there's a St. Croix Railroad club that's just over the border in near Hudson, Wisconsin. So that's a big one that I'm learning about that I want to check out right away with Elin once this all opens up. They have membership, and right now it's only it's members only that are getting in there just with the whole pandemic. So
Right.
that's going to be a really fun. What do I want to say? A place to learn and see. And a guy contacted me today via email, and he was giving me the lowdown on what it takes, and here's what you can do. They even have some locomotives that you can run after some training, to kind of get an idea of what we want to do. So, I mean, that's like right there. That's not even 20 minutes away from my home. So that's really, really cool. And then a couple other guys that are kind of in the same spot as me, us just getting started. And, we're bouncing the same questions back and forth. Midwest Scale, this guy named Carl, he's in Wisconsin too, which is only 3 hours away, which is nothing in this business.
Right.
But in this hobby, it's that's close, right?
We have Dwight at Northern Star Railroad. He's from Chaska.
Oh, Chaska, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he states that he's been to all the places you're talking about.
Awesome. So we got to get in touch, and you got to, tell me some more, and we can share.
Yeah, Dwight at Northern Star Railroad, very, very nice man. He has an HO Scale Railroad. We have an East Coast connection. He has a friend, a relative that lives in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. So he's always letting me know where the best pizzerias are in Brooklyn. From Minnesota, can you believe it? So, but
I'm an Angelo's Savoy pizza person myself. What does he say?
Okay.
Our square cut Minnesota style, we say. But I'm talking to somebody from Brooklyn, so.
Yeah, I know. The best pizza in the world is. What can I tell you? I know, But yeah, this is. Let's see. Wow, lots of guys from the Twin Cities here.
Awesome. And a lot of these guys I probably see on on the channel commenting, and then I found a couple of guys, a lot of rail fanners that are in Minnesota. It's all about making. It's hard to make that connection when you're just seeing, for example, Minnesota E&D Railroad. But you get into shows like this with you and start putting some more faces to these names, and it's fun.
Right, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. But that's good. So, getting back to this, I'm really, excuse me, something in my eye. This whole, I really love this garden railroading. I mean, I have a narrow back. Well, actually, I have a cemetery behind me. So, it's
a lot of potential there.
Yeah, a lot of potential, and they put a fence around it because people are dying to get in. I'll be here all week, folks. Don't forget to try the veal and tip your on your way out. Okay, so
these like I said, I got this thing will hold 1,600 pounds. You can actually get a lot of work done with the railroad there in the cemetery.
Yeah,
put it to work, man.
Yeah. Oh, Dan Cohen says, a small world. I'm from Exit 9 in Jersey. Yeah, Exit 9. You're down on the TP. Yeah, Turnpike. All right. Let's see. Drew's trains. I arrived late, so Erik has a garden railroad. Okay, so those that have arrived late, we are talking to Erik of Minnesota E&E Railroad. Him and his son, 2 years? 2-year-old, Elin?
2 years. Yep.
He's 2 years old. Him and his dad, who you're seeing here, Erik, have built that N-scale railroad in the back as a team. They wanted to do something as a father and son, and they did that. And then also, Erik here has started venture into 7.5-inch gauge garden railroading, and we are now talking about the garden railroad experience. If you could shoot back to the truck, and yeah, so this way, yeah, then this way, Drew, you can see what he's talking about here. This is what he's building.
Yeah, so we got this frame is going to be a flat car, but we got some Titan Trains trucks on here. Mountain Car Company, they were called before they turned into Titan Trains. Yeah, it's
now that wheel set, is that a what do they call it? Betterford?
Bettenford, yes.
Bettenford, right.
So this is an older style, the Bettenford, where on the real ones, this would lift up and you would have, I think that's where you would grease everything down and stuff. But versus modern trucks. So yeah, these are kind of the old ones, the Bettenford. And
right.
Then they do the modern style now that you'll see out there when you're rail fanning, etc. And then we just got 1x2 steel, and you can see well, that's my phone, not the camera, but you got the bolsters. So it's kind of fun working with this large scale because you really get a good idea of, how all of this stuff works. And I got videos on it. You can definitely check out, taking these trucks apart. In this case, painting them. Made a couple of mistakes, but I painted everything to basically protect them for now because it's going to be a little while until I actually get these things on some rail. Not too long though. This weekend maybe we'll have some more rail down outside. But this frame is a 5-footer, technically kind of short, and then this is going to be a flatbed car. My buddy just welded up another car frame like this at 4 feet, which is quite small, and we're going to make that into a little caboose. And then from there, we're going to start really thinking about that, the motive power and what we're going to pull all this with. And we talked about that too, 24-volt system of some sort, electric. Hopefully 2 powered trucks. That's my dream. 2 powered trucks that will have, 4 axles on the engine, 8 wheels,
Right. And the coupler, what kind of couplers are these?
Oh, yeah. So that's cool stuff, too. These are also Titan Trains. I can actually pull these ones off. So, yeah, we got the trucks here. Excuse me, the couplers. So here's another mistake we can talk about. I painted these guys up. You don't paint your couplers, man. You gotta keep them raw for inspection, right? So in the real world, don't paint your couplers. But in this case, we did. You can't get away with painting couplers, but
right.
You got to be careful with some of the mechanics of it and it not working properly if you get it all gummed up and stuff.
Right, right.
But I think we got away with it. We'll see. We got to get it out on the rails with the couplers.
Well, when you make a couple of hard hitches with that, you're going to take that paint right off.
Right, right.
Yeah, so that I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I've already taken some off on the bottom there, for example.
Yeah, but that's pretty good. And that how long on the trucks? Those trucks can come apart as well. You can take the wheels off the side frames.
Yeah, you can take them apart pretty easily. I got video on that too when I was painting them. Basically, you flip them over, you pull the springs, which is pulling the springs is not that big of a deal. Getting the springs back in is a whole nother story.
Yeah, so, right. Easy to take out, harder to put back.
Yeah. Yeah. But these come apart like nothing. Once those springs come out, I mean, they're you can pull them apart, and that's really fun and interesting too. That was a fun part of the process, learning what exactly is going on with these old Bettendorf trucks and the mechanics of them and how they actually worked in real life and back in the day.
Right. And it's also good experience for you to take them apart, because then you see, when the time would come when you need to troubleshoot. Yep. Now the mechanics of it, and you can figure out, well, okay, this is what goes here and that goes there, and then, oh, okay, so this is why it's not working. So that's always good to know, you know, and stuff.
That's like that with everything. I wish I knew more in so many fields, right?
Oh, of course. It's the one field we love to do that we find most interesting and want to get involved in, you know,
Absolutely.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
so I said it earlier. A guy said in one of the forums, and he's like, "Hey, anybody can build a railroad. It's that maintaining." And that's what you're talking about. You know, being able to take it all apart, you know, building it in the first place really helps down the road when you start to have issues, and you know, because you're using it and the wear and tear, and it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
Yeah, because that's the experience that you get, you know, when you have your layout, whether it's the end scale from ZN to 7.5 inch Garden Railroad, it is the maintenance, it is the troubleshooting. Why, you know it better. You know, when I have guys come over and the train stops running, they're like, well, they don't know what to do because they're just here once a month operating, and I'm here every day. Well, I'm in the room mostly, and I'm working and tinkering with it. It's the same thing that's going to happen, and you'll see the wealth of knowledge that you get, and stuff like that. And you'll be like, in a year's time when we come back and visit you in a year, 2 years, and Elon's like 4 or 5 years old, he'll know more just as much as you do, if not,
Right.
being the master engineer, the road car inspector, give a little walkie-talkie and road car inspector to the south part of the lawn, but you'll see how much information you'll gain because you'll see through, trial and error, and the mistakes, and you'll be like, and then when that new guy comes on and says, hey, I'm going to build the Garden Railroad, you'll be that guy that's going to jump in and say, hey, listen, go back to my videos and see what I did, and give me a call. Give me a call because I want to talk to you about that stuff. I want to help you, and stuff like that. So that's what makes it really interesting. The fact that you're doing it ground up, that when I saw that 7.5 inch gauge, I was like, I saw the father-son and the end scale. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. And I was like, I got to get this guy on the show. And then when I reached out to you, and you were like, why me?
Yeah, what am
I got 12 subscribers.
And yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a beginner. If it comes to end scale, it even comes to the prototypical engines. I'm not a name dropper yet. That one's green, that one's red. That's kind of
right. No, hey, no, absolutely, and that's really that is the be all to the end all. That's what makes it a fun hobby.
Absolutely.
You get the guys who what they call the so-called rivet counters. It's only got 16 rivets when it's supposed to have 18, and they're like, I discontinue it. I don't want to know about it. And you're like, what? It's at the end of the day, they're just toys. That's it. You know what I'm saying? They had a funeral here the other day in the backyard in the cemetery, and I noticed when the hearse pulled up, there wasn't a U-Haul van behind it. Taking out the guy's personal stuff to put in the ground with them. You just can't take it with you. You know what I mean?
Oh, nope.
There wasn't a trailer hitched up to the guy, and they were, as the coffin went in, they were throwing all his toys in there and everything and whatever. You can't, you got
to be careful. I got to speak for myself. I got to be careful because I can very easily nitpick and I can very easily count those rivets, but it actually takes effort for me to just kind of back off for now. Maybe someday in the future, somehow or another, I would, we can dive into, the exact details and stuff. But yeah, I hear you, man.
Tony Costa is he writes a column for Model Railroad magazine, and I remember reading years ago, he had this thing where it was just good enough. It's good enough. Don't sweat the small, don't get over involved in it. It's good enough. And I just, there
are days when you got to do that. It's okay sometimes to be, it's good enough.
Right. There was John Allen, he's like this world-class modeler. He would put buildings on, but he would never put backs on them because he said no one ever looks in the back of them. So he'd do the front, but he wouldn't do the back. So it's good enough, And it depends on the level of what you want. Again, I don't want emails coming into Model Railroad Live, and to the Big Bill, who's Big Bill talking to, and saying, "Oh, what's the matter? You got something against River Camp?" No, I do not. I do. There's some guys who want to make the detail right down to the nitty gritty. Got it. I understand it. That's great. That's what floats your boat. Go for it.
And I'm going to enjoy it too. I'm going to be looking at it, and I'm going to be, down at high level going, wow.
Exactly. I have this big Kentile floor sign that's on one of my buildings, and right next to it is a warehouse that I built, and I put a fire escape on it, and I put all kinds of debris on the fire escape, like you would see blown newspapers, and people who live in the New York area who come know the Kentile sign for what it's worth and what it means to them as growing up in Brooklyn, and they'll all go, "Wow, you got the Kentile sign," and then they'll go, "Is that a fire escape on the side? Yeah. Is that newspaper blown up? And that looks so realistic." And you're like, "Yeah, but the Kentile sign, a friend of mine, Miles Hale, he 3D printed it. We had to put it. Yeah, that's cool. But that fire escape, it's the thing you don't think that people are going to see, and that you see. And it's like, wow, I didn't spend that much time doing that. And I spent all this time doing that, and they're not noticing that." I mean, so, okay, these guys are having their own private conversation on the Q&A here, so.
How much of hacks we are, because we're not. No, I'm just kidding.
And stuff. But, that was the next thing I wanted to ask. How long did it take from when you got the trucks? I mean, when you built the frame, how long did that take? The frame?
Not long. The frame, after consulting with Titan Trains and how they like to do what they do, and it's kind of common practice. I spent like $20 on the steel, pre-cut. Kind of cleaned off the burrs a little bit, and then my buddy is a mechanic and does welding and works on motorcycles and stuff like that. And we went over there one day, and a couple hours. We were having issues with the welder, but it was a little bit of a breeze and other things going on. But a couple of hours. So, if you plan a little bit, you could get to where we're at with that frame in 2 days. Waiting for your trucks to come. We didn't build the trucks, ordered those, free shipping. And then the steel, if you got a welder, real quick. I did make a jig though for, where you saw the T frame and the bolsters. That really helped. That jig, really helped. I made it out of 2x4s and got it all set up for my friend. So all he had to do was put it all in there, tack it together, take that off, and then weld it together. And then my dad has a drill press, so we drilled all the holes. And there's other ways of doing it. I'm already rethinking some of the things, the ways that we did it. Those holes just took a couple of days. So the frames, a car to this point is pretty quick. But getting the actual car body on there, we're going to use wood for the most part. We'll see how that goes next. Not sure how long that'll take.
And when you put the frame on the truck, now did you have to make the to fit the truck? There's no pin or cotter pin holding the truck to the frame, is there? Is it pressed in like in real life?
In our case, you can find it like that. What we did is we drilled the holes, and I have a bolt and a nut on the bottom.
Okay.
And, you bring up a good point. If anybody out there is going to get started with this, one thing we did do right, I believe, is we started with the trucks and we built around the trucks. So we happened to go with Titan Trains, great trucks, and then we built the frame, because the bolsters are pretty important in that gap, right, in the rock of a car.
Yeah. Yes.
That, you see on everything. You got to get that pretty darn good. Basically, the frame's sitting on the trucks and a bolt's coming through, and it's all loose. It's all, jiggly.
Right.
And it's meant to rock, and there's even twist in the truck, and that's all helping for not getting
Right.
radar.
Right. In the real railroads, the car presses into the truck. There's nothing holding the truck, the car body to the truck.
Yeah, so you got a pin welded basically on the frame, right?
It goes right in, it's fitted, and it's pressed in. The weight of the boxcar holds into the wheel set.
So
And
if I could lift it up, I could technically lift the
well,
box.
what happens is if they're going to maintain it, like if you see in a derailment, they'll take the car body, they'll wrap the straps around it, they'll lift it, and it will come off. They'll anchor the, whatever the derailment, or even in car body. When I worked for the Transit Authority, I used to do the maintenance on the things. You'd see them, they put the hooks underneath the car body, and they just lift up, and they'd come from the thing. And I had asked, how does the truck stay on the car body? And the guy says, we just press them in. The weight of the car body and the weight of the train keeps the track on the rail, And you'll find also, if you look, your wheels on your train, put it on the rail. Just put one of the wheels on the rail, and you'll see there's only 1/8 of an inch of the wheel that's actually on the rail.
Yeah, and they kind of go back and forth.
Right. And the whole engineering. I mean, you can get into the whole. Mystic Southern Railroad says Erik's a Viking fan. He says I may have to unsubscribe to him because I'm a Saints fan.
Yeah, I'm fair weather anyway, so you can't hold that against me.
Yeah.
They just had to close down shop, man. The Vikings are on hold waiting for testing with the whole COVID-19 thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's stuff like that, but it's that whole mechanics of doing this. Like, can you imagine if you were working? I remember the first time I remember the first time I born and raised in New York City, rode the subway system my entire life as a kid growing up, a teenager, young adult, and then got hired. And I'll never forget the first time when I was on the job and they took us to training into the yard, and we actually walked up to a subway car. I was like,
different perspective there.
How big is this? And then, you're like amazing. The same thing with boxcars. And I had a friend of mine that worked as a conductor on Conrail back in the day, and he would take me to the yard out here in Jersey in Oak Island, and he'd stand next to one of those boxcars, and you'd be like, wow, this is a piece of equipment. And imagine working. See, that's the whole thing. We get to play with them, but get to work on them is a whole entire different story. That's why guys on the railroad, they don't like guys like us. Because they're like, yeah, come out here when it's 5 below zero. And I got to uncouple this bad boy. Where are you then? And stuff.
Yeah,
like
I think about that all the time. Man, I would love to go work for the railroad, and I've come across a couple of guys. Dan from Minnesota Commercial, if maybe you're out there right now, but if I can't remember if it was him or not, but there's usually kind of that love-hate with, they're usually modelers too, but I don't ruin it with the real one. Don't actually go no. But and then on the flip side, there's a lot of pride and a lot of knowledge and a lot of stuff
there is
the real thing. And once again, hats off to you, because I've only watched with my son.
Yeah. Steve Arnold says, I subbed to you, Erik, when you were thinking about going between the tree and the fence. I believe I was the first to suggest going around the tree.
Yes, that was a big one. That recommendation was one of the first times where, talk about community and all the good people in this. Thanks. Because I would have had some knees rubbing against the fence and against the tree. So when I was thinking big, thinking grandiose, I wanted to raise up between a big old tree that we have and the fence, to use up all the space and, of course, get bigger radius, so bigger turns, thinking about all those things. And, yeah, he came on and he's like, I don't know about that one. You might go around that tree. And then right at the beginning, I'm like, heck no. No, you don't know what you're talking about. And then sure enough, he's right.
You wanted that Santa Fe Super Chief with the passenger cars sweeping the vista.
So thank you. And we are better off right now.
And
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna
he was
have a fun
watching
right now.
right, and he was watching from the comfort of his home and saw it, and you were right there. And see, that's why you need the community.
Yep.
Those are the guys that are gonna like walk out and say and everything.
Yeah.
So, have you got as far as planting the garden around or is it just right now tamping down, getting the road bed ready and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's road bed right now. Road bed, we got good layer of class 5. We had a tamper, a plate compactor last weekend. Got that in. We'll probably have to do that again in one spot because we are putting in a bridge. Just a little bridge. It'll probably be this high off the ground, but
okay,
it's going to be awesome. We're looking into the steel. It's going to, once again, it's just so much fun creating something big and solid like that. Well, it's not actually that big, but
it's
model railroad, it's big.
Yeah, no, it's a the beauty of this, Eric, is your enthusiasm is coming right through the screen. I don't know if you guys out there are seeing this, but I can see you're like so like ready, like, okay, let's get the winter over with. Don't come too fast because I want spring here.
Yep.
But the good thing about the winter is it's planning time. It's sitting down and, doodling. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, all my N scale friends, that originally, started hanging out because of N scale. There's more N scale coming, especially when it starts to get cold.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, but it's
less pink, man. I'm sick of this pink over here. That's
yeah. Hey, while we're talking, tell us a little bit about this N scale layout. What is does it have a name? Are you modeling after something?
Yeah. So it's everything in life bunched up into a 4x6 area, but we're modeling basically the Twin Cities. So we're going to get Minneapolis, we're going to get St. Paul in there, and then some bigger staples like we talked about music. We already have First Avenue over there, which is one of the a staple longtime club. If you think of Prince, for example, he made that famous in that old 80s movie, Purple Rain. And
right.
So we got Minneapolis, we got St. Paul. I'm a St. Paul kid. We talked about pizza, the old pizza shop, Savoy downtown. My mom, my grandma, all my aunts worked at Savoy downtown. That is a red Savoy. Red passed away, and they ended up selling that location. Now they've franchised, etc. We got the Mississippi River coming through, which is a big piece of the Twin Cities. On the upper Mississippi. A lot of you guys are out there on the Mississippi too, and then the Minnesota River where it dumps into the Mississippi. As far as locomotives and rolling stock and things like that, it goes back to my grandpa Al, my mom's dad, who, like I said, was Northern Pacific and then into Burlington Northern. So we already have Burlington Northern. I learned about Northern Pacific later, recently, as I'm getting into it. So, all those little things. Thomas the Train right now, because Elon is just into Thomas, and then Tomix, Tomix, however you pronounce it, makes
Right.
these little guys here. So we got some of those. We're all DC right now. Also 94 right here, Highway 94. That's kind of is the east-west for the Twin Cities between Minneapolis, St. Paul. What did I just say? Yeah, we're keeping it basic right now with DC. We got our little Kato set up with our switches for now. DCC, is so attractive, and how cool is that stuff? But we got an extension coming out here pretty soon as a yard and some industry, dabble in some industry and staging yard. But we're already planning to extend out there. And, I think we're going to get the green light, hopefully, to go down that wall maybe for not so much a loop, because we started out because I wanted a loop. I knew that I just wanted to do a continuous loop. But for there, we'll do an end-to-end probably with, sidings and
Right.
and more industry. And And then getting set up for, some backdrop to some nice sky and things like that.
Right. Dan Cohen says, Eric, I'm new to videos. I'm also newer at model railroading. Just joined the NMRA too. Perhaps maybe you can give me some video tips.
Video tips, like how to make. Boy. All right. I keep it pretty simple. When I'm recording, I usually use in my case, I use a lot of Apple products. I use my phone. It's all beat up. And then I use a GoPro. I have a GoPro right now where when you see my fast, shoot, I'm forgetting what it's called. When, not stop motion, but when you see my fast video, that's usually my GoPro just doing its time lapse.
Right.
I'm working on I use the free iMovie within my Apple computer. And these days, I try to keep it as short as possible. But there is in my opinion, short and sweet, I really, really like. But then, especially in model railroading, I love sitting down with a 15-minute video and just getting into it. So there is some balancing act there, balancing there with length. I think about length a lot. And I'm not afraid to cut. I definitely, if you watch our videos, I cut out as many of the ums and ahs and any of the breaks. So when I'm filming, I'm already thinking about if I screwed up that line, I'll just kind of redo it, And I don't know. I'm learning too, and because when you get to that editing, that takes a lot of time. So if I can I do as much editing while recording. So I'm trying to think of the whole big picture all at once.
Right. Dan, I can give you some advice.
These guys know better than me.
When you're doing your videos, keep it brief and brilliant. Know what you want to talk about beforehand. You want to start filming, script it out if you can. Because what a lot of guys do is when they subscribe to you, when they get the notification and the bell, the whole thing, first thing most guys do is they look at the timestamp. And if that thing is beyond 15 minutes, they're not going to watch it. They'll watch the first 3-4 minutes. But if they see 37 minutes of you cutting plastic strips, 47 of them, and trying to engage them, they're not. That's why guys speed the film up. So, it's good to keep it in the 10-15 minute range in case, or if you're going to do something big and explain, there's going to be a lot of, cutting back and forth on it, then that's cool too. But you're doing it, 10-15 minutes is about average. Like I said, brief and, and brilliant. Michael Lambertino wants to know, hey, Michael, how much would a locomotive cost in that 7.5-inch gauge?
Ooh, that's man, that's all over the board. I think just looking around, if I were to buy something ready to go and put out in the backyard once we get rolling, for a little switcher, and then you sit behind it, you have a car that you're sitting on behind the actual locomotive, $3,000. You get into some really nice, once again, art, man. We're talking art. Jason B out of Colorado. And then all those guys that I don't know very well because I kind of steered away from Steam, but you're in the tens of thousands of dollars with some of those really, really, really awesome locomotives. Boy, Titan trains, I think maybe I can quote like a $10,000 for a really awesome prototypical diesel engine. They work a lot with the diesel engines, gasoline powered motors in there, I believe.
Yeah,
mostly.
Yeah.
So man, now we're not going to go super prototypical. I'm starting to look into powered trucks, like I mentioned earlier in our show here. And boy, I bet I'm going to spend for one of those trucks. Oh man, I don't even want to say. All said and done, maybe $2,000 for the trucks. Then you got the frame, and then you got the batteries. Batteries, I mean, a lot of you guys know about batteries in general. You spend a couple $100 for one battery. I'm going to need two. Then you're going into the controllers. and how you're going to run it. And if you feel how heavy this thing is, you're thinking about safety. So you got the automatic braking in there. You got braking systems actually for a lot of these locomotives. It takes time. It definitely is expensive. But back to you could get one for about $3,000. And in the beginning, when I heard that number, I'm like, holy crap, no way. But now I have no problem spending $3,000 on one of those locomotives. Kind of a smaller, pretty basic, general, really good looking stuff, man. A lot of guys, make this stuff in their garage and sell really cool stuff. So yeah, the numbers look really big, but the numbers are big here too. Numbers are big in scale. Numbers are big in, model railroading in general. And when it comes to the money, man, I remember somebody made a comment about model railroading being a rich man's gig. I'm just going to sit here and play with my box of rocks. And it was, it was brilliant. It was funny, but there's truth to that, but there's also truth to, I do make some decisions on what I'm not going to buy and what I do buy for this railroading stuff. And I'm sure everybody out there makes those decisions too.
Well, it says Daniel Banks says you can buy a Dash 9 as a pile of steel, 16-horse gas engine, and the hydraulic system, all assembly required for about $9K.
About what?
About $9,000. $9K.
Yeah.
Andy Crawford says, Bill, that you should get him in touch with Miles Hale, since Miles built his little 44-tonner unit. And I don't remember precisely, but he built it pretty affordably. Yeah, we could do that. Not just MRR, virtual, all hobbies are expensive. Yes.
Yeah.
Mystic Southern Railway says, go for it, Eric. You only live once.
Hey, I'm going for it. We're going for it.
Like I said, that U-Haul van ain't going to be behind you, the final day when you go to glory. So it's not going to be there. But, listen, you after you do what you do, you put food on the table, shoes on the baby's feet, and you keep the wife happy, and everything's paid, and you can live in the house one more month and ride the car. And you got a little extra shekels. You say, all right, okay, let's go for it. Stuff like that.
Yep.
It has been a blast having you on the show.
Yeah, you're the best, man. Thanks for having us.
Oh, no problem. You guys out there, check out Minnesota E&E Railroad YouTube channel. Go out there, subscribe to it, hit that bell so you can get all the notifications and keep updated on what's going on at that E&E Garden Railroad, and watch the videos, and you can watch Elon grow up as you move forward in his video. So go out there and check out his video. And Eric, thank you so much, and for taking time out of your busy schedule and taking care of a 2-year-old and a husband, and being a husband and a father and the whole 9 yards. Is really busy. So thank you so very, very, very much. I do want to extend our apologies to Sir Rod Stewart once again. Rod, time just keeps going by here. We get into such conversations that I don't have enough time for you to get on the show. I wish I could. Maybe next time. Coming around this Saturday, small layout, big opportunities with Tommy K, Kamaski, and John Farrington. We're going to be doing the second part, 2.1 of the introduction to building a small layout. This is the second part, but we didn't have enough time to finish it. So it will be this Saturday, the 3rd of October at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On October 7th, I'll be back on Who's Big Bill Talking To, and I'll be talking to Mike and Brian, or Brian and Mike, from the Cross Anchor Railroad. Those guys have a big old scale up in their attic, and wait till you see this, and wait till you see the electronics behind it. These guys have done some pretty amazing stuff. Looking forward to talking to them as well. And then on the 8th of October, we have Johnny's Train Talk Show. That's where you, the community, can join in and bring something down and talk to other modelers and see what's going on. If you have a problem with electronics, anything to do, questions, answers, we got them. Just mosey on down to Johnny's General Store and pull soda pop out of the freezer and sit down around the chessboard or checkers. I think he likes to play checkers. And you guys can all talk about modeling. You can also be on it as well. There's a link like what Erik is and myself. If you have if you have a camera on your laptop or a webcam and a good internet, you can come on as well. It works well on Chrome. We don't do well on Firefox, but it does work well on Chrome. I want to thank Johnny Reb for being our producer / director. As always, he keeps things rolling. It looks so effortless here as me and Erik talk, but behind the scenes, behind the curtain, and keeping the steam going and shoveling the coal into the furnace to make sure that this engine keeps rolling down that track. So I want to thank John.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, for all the work he does. And I also want to thank you guys out there in the community for tuning in, because if you're not watching, we're just talking to dead air. So with that said, you guys be well, be careful, but be blessed, and we'll see you guys on the radio. Bye-bye.